Sorority. House. Massacre.
After a weekend with us, you're going to want to join this sorority.
Maybe we are the haunted sorority house after all. One, two, three! Yes, you're awake! Am I crazy? Oh, God. It's him. That's him. That's the guy from my dream.
What's the plan here, buddy? You gotta get the reason behind.
Where's not his family? I think I am.
Sorority House Massacre. A slash course in absolute terror.
Welcome to the Blind Rage Podcast. Brandon Ford.
And this is Tony the Tiger, the Thunder from Down Under.
And for this week's commentary, we are doing one of my all-time favorite slasher movies, Carol Frank's 1986 classic, Sorority House Massacre, starring Angela O'Neill and Nicole Rio, Marcus Vaughter, and a bunch of other people nobody's heard of.
Vinny
Tony
Delanco.
is super excited. Balancio, yeah. Yeah. But before we get into the movie, I'm just going to get the plug quickly out of the way. So I'd like to encourage everybody to please check out my books in hardcover, paperback, and Kindle editions on Amazon.com by typing in Brandon Ford into the search box. You'll also find my author page, which you can subscribe to in order to receive email notifications whenever I have a new release. If you prefer audiobooks, I have several titles available on Audible, which you can find by typing in Brandon Ford into the search box. I am on Instagram at writer Brandon Ford. I am on both Letterboxd and Twitter at Brandon Ford. Tony is on Letterboxd at Tony_the_bear. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, critiques, suggestions, recommendations, please feel free to email me directly at blindragepod81@gmail.com. Please don't forget to visit the official Blind Rage Podcast Facebook page to like and subscribe. Last and most importantly, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the Blind Rage Podcast on your preferred podcasting platform. So, Tony.
Brandon,
how are you? How's everything? Are you good? Is everything good?
Things are going fine here. I've started a new job, so that's been keeping me busy. But aside from that, enjoying time with my puppies and hubby and catching up with the friends. Have you been watching anything?
I did. I usually let the guest go first, but
would you like me to go first?
No, now I'm already talking. I did watch a really, really good limited series on Netflix called Worst Roommate Ever.
I've heard of that, and it was pretty good, was it?
It was good. I think it's 4 parts. But the first one was an old case that I heard about, that Tales from the Crypt actually based an episode on called Television Terror. It's about a woman who murdered boarders for they were elderly men and some women with some sort of disabilities, and she murdered them for their social security checks.
Okay. Sort of something similar happened in Adelaide, but sorry.
Oh no. But yeah, the rest of them were I'd never heard of, and the last two was a two-parter, and it was particularly good. So there's that. I recommend it. Again, Worst Roommate Ever, it's called. So I would check that out. Mm-hmm. And I also saw the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
And what did you think of that?
Not very much. I thought it was, well, first of all, it was highly implausible, much of it. I didn't think it was, well, among other things. I mean, like, I can run down a list of all the shit in that movie that made no sense. Like Leatherface's chainsaw being locked up in a wall for 50 years, but it works like it's brand new. Like he just bought it off a shelf at fucking Home Depot. Do they even sell chainsaws? I don't know. But Leatherface being like, well, Gunnar Hansen was, I think, 26. I think he was 26 when he played Leatherface in the original. So that would would mean he was 76 years old. A 76-year-old man with supernatural powers, apparently.
Well, he's had a few facelifts.
He did. That's true.
Leatherface, that is.
And he just... Yes, I know exactly what you meant. And he just got a new one. So,
yes.
Why he went to an orphanage, I have no idea. If he was 26.
Yeah.
That made zero sense. The Sally subplot was just totally incidental. It was there just to rip off the Halloween reboot.
But insane, I feel that it kind of made fun of that as well. Like she was not necessary to be there, and then she gets killed straight away. It's not, well, not straight away, but because I always take a lot of the chainsaw movies with a sense of humor, so I approach them from this angle. So that's why I didn't mind it myself, and
I didn't hate it, believe it or not. There were some parts I did enjoy, but some parts I just thought were so ridiculously stupid. I did like the massacre on the party bus. I thought that was pretty fun, even though I didn't get to see it.
That was fun. And a line that really divides people is one of the victims says like something like, "You're so cancelled," and people are taking that serious when it was purely like, this is a stupid comment, and like, of course it's going to get killed straight away. It's not. It's making fun of these people more than saying this is legitimate conversations.
Yes, clearly it's a joke because it's not a threat if you're saying you're canceled to somebody who's got a chainsaw in your face. So yeah, no. But yeah, I do hear that one a lot. I hated that Sally had said that she'd been hunting him for the past 50 years, but she couldn't find him because he was wearing a mask and he lived right down the road.
Yeah.
And she'd been hunting this guy for fucking 50 years. And then when she finally had the chance to shoot him, she doesn't shoot him. They did the whole, oh, look, she's going to shoot him and no bullets thing, which was probably in the very first movie ever made. It's so ridiculously old. And it was in Halloween Kills.
Yeah.
Which shows how unoriginal that is.
But by way of these new remakes, like, it was actually one that I didn't mind. So I've seen far worse. So
I thought it was better than Scream.
yeah, I saw you gave Scream a terrible review. But
Oh, I wanted to go on with my terrible review with Scream, but then I was like, oh, let me stop myself. Yeah.
you wanted to do an epic, an odyssey.
Well, I did something of a lengthy review for Halloween Kills because I fucking hated that piece of shit. No, but I did. So some of the kids were likable. I like some of the moments, some of the chase moments, like when the girl was under the floor, and the blade was coming through the floor, things like that. I liked a lot of the action stuff. The story stuff, not so much.
Yeah. The hillbilly in it was hot as shit, though. Oh,
was he?
Yeah.
I thought he was like 180 years old. Who played him?
The mechanic, like the.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Who was it?
Oh, I don't know, some young guy. Well, not young, but like my age.
He sounded really old.
Nah.
At least in my ears. I do think that they really tried to go out of their way to speak to the Gen Z audience.
Okay.
Which kind of got to be annoying at times. And like I said, a lot of it really didn't make much sense. Like a bunch of like kids who were fresh out of college buying a whole town that is 7 hours from anything.
Yeah. And then, like, and this is just a stupid crap of mine, is that for such a ghost town, for it to be connected on GPS that a car could drive through it. I know that's a weird
no, that
thing
wouldn't happen. That wouldn't happen. No. And why would you want to set up a town where you're 7 hours like from a hospital?
Yeah.
Or a police station? Or, like you're going to build like a fucking utopia from the ground up. And there, I mean, I was listening to a podcast where they were talking about this, and it was like, where the fuck in Texas would this even be? I mean, Texas is big, but it's not that fucking big.
Yeah. Well, I think actually I can't. I'm sure it's big.
Oh, it's big, baby. Just ask James. Yes. That sounded terrible.
Oh my god. No, I know. Like in one of our states, Queensland, if you drive from the top to the bottom, it will take you over a day of driving. It's
and now we're talking about tops and bottoms. Oh my god.
And if you drive fast.
So I would give it a 2 out of 5. Yeah, 2.
I think I gave it a 3, I think.
Oh, that's generous.
Yeah. Well, there's some films I will go in with an expectation, and if it is better than my expectation, then I'll give it a better score.
Huh. Well, I did go in with very low expectations, and it was better than mine. Not by much, though. And I'm sure that they will, but I'm really, well, it doesn't matter to me. I feel like I've said these exact same thing the exact same way with probably Halloween Kills. But yes, but I was just going to say, I'm hoping that they don't make another one, but it doesn't really matter if they do or if they don't, because I don't plan on seeing it.
Yeah.
So
well, they left the door open to make another one, so
they did. And by the way, just an FYI, or not an FYI, an end note on this one, a period, or what's that? What are those things called? Footnote. A footnote on this one. Nothing says Texas quite like fucking Bulgaria, which is where this thing was filmed.
Yes, that was where it was filmed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, they say things are bigger in Texas and in the Bulgaria.
Are you proud of yourself?
Should we get this movie started?
I think we should. All right. So this is on Tubi with ads, and I believe it's free on Prime. And I'm sure you can find it elsewhere. Probably on YouTube. All right. So we're going to begin with a 3 count. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, play.
Concord.
Yes, it's Roger Corman's company.
Oh.
So Sorority House Massacre was written and directed by Carol Frank, who was assistant to Rita Mae Brown during the making of the Slumber Party Massacre.
Now, was Rita Mae Brown in Ghost?
Not Rita Mae Brown, Amy Holden Jones.
Oh, okay.
Rita Mae Brown wrote the script. And what the fuck was that attempted humor you were trying to... Oh, Oda Mae Brown. I got it. Yeah. No.
It took you a while.
No, because I fucked myself up with the director, and I can't believe I did that with a movie like Slumber Party Massacre. But I don't know if I think I said this to you during a chat or something, but I've noticed that as the years go on, the love for Slumber Party has continued to increase, and it has become more and more of a cult classic. But this one just continues to get hate and vitriol, and nobody seems to like it.
Oh, okay. I hadn't heard much about it, but then when I looked it up on IMDb, I definitely recognized the cover art, and I used to go past it all the time at the video store, but this is the first time I've seen it.
Well, the cover art is very similar to Body Double.
It is. Which is why I probably didn't watch it, because I thought it was that movie. And then I know it's not, because I remember this one as well. Why do you think it hasn't gotten the love that...
because people think it's too similar to Halloween.
Oh, really?
That's the general complaint.
Yeah.
Angela O'Neill's character, Beth, is too similar to Laurie Strode, and her brother is too similar to
Michael Myers.
Michael Myers. So this was
watching it, I never actually... Halloween didn't come into my mind. You saying it does now, but I wasn't actually thinking of Halloween and Michael Myers when it came to this movie. I was thinking more of the Slumber Party Massacre and stuff like that. But
well, it was meant to capitalize on the success of Slumber Party Massacre, and Roger Corman came up with the title Sorority House Massacre and gave it to Carol Frank and said, you know, write the script.
Run away with it. Yeah.
Uh-huh. He also titled the Slumber Party Massacre because it was originally titled Sleepless Night.
Okay. It sounds a bit too, maybe romance novel. Was it like it doesn't sound very thrilling.
It was also called Don't Open the Door. It had a couple of different titles, but ultimately Roger Corman changed it to the Slumber Party Massacre. And Amy Holden Jones, during the commentary for the original DVD or the reissue that the Scream Factory put out, said that, you know, she's like, I have to admit, it's a pretty catchy title. So
yeah,
she wasn't butthurt about it or anything.
Yeah.
But this is, I think, one of the few sorority movies with a sorority that actually looks like a sorority.
Yeah.
Um,
As in they behave that way with each other, or act
well, the way
like...
the house is built, the number of girls who are in the house, there's Greek representation, there's a communal shower, things like that. There's a I think they call it the
Common area?
fucking. It's a common area, but they call it something else.
Yeah.
And I believe there's some paddles and some other Greek paraphernalia.
Yeah, yeah. Sodomy.
No, that's for the fraternities, remember?
Yes. She's got such a head of hair. She's got a very male hair, and I know that. We sort of discussed that off mic, but...
We did. And we also discussed an interview that Carol Frank did years ago that I wasn't able to find because I was having internet connection problems, Wi-Fi problems. But Beth is supposed to look like a boy, and that's why she has short hair. But while the similarities to Halloween are there, and I can recognize them for sure, I think that there is more than enough in this to differentiate.
Yeah. There's more differences as well.
That's exactly what I just said. But primarily the sisters, the whole thing with the sisters and the dolls. And one of the things that I always found to be very creepy about this movie is as he's killing the girls in the sorority toward the end of the movie, he sees them as his sisters.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's confused because it's like, I already killed you.
Yeah.
Especially when he goes to kill the one girl who looks part Japanese, and she kind of has like a Japanese dress on, and he calls her Janet.
Yeah. And
he points at her and he goes, Janet. And it's kind of weird because it's like, you're supposed to be to steal a line from Slumber Party Massacre 2. No, go away. You're supposed to be dead. So I like that. And apparently the girls were not at all afraid of I can't remember the guy's name. I think is it Marcus Fodder? No,
it's not.
I don't know. The guy who plays the killer.
Or is that's the character's name?
No, that's his real name. Robert Henkel. But the actresses weren't afraid of him at all because they said he was very, very sweet to them.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to be a peacock.
No, he was not. And Nicole Rio said that I guess because he didn't have a lot to do as far as memorizing lines or anything, he was like happy to be a gopher for the girls, if they needed anything.
Yeah.
And remember how I was talking about in Valentine when the girls did the telephone scene with Marley Shelton and Denise Richards. They did their scene, and what's her name? The girl who plays Dorothy. Yeah. She gave the lines behind the mic, behind the camera.
Yeah.
And they did it for her too.
Yeah.
That, according to Nicole Rio, who plays Tracy, she said that's exactly the way Pamela Ross was. What the fuck is her name? She's the one I was just talking about.
Yeah.
Who he thought was Janet. I can't remember her name, but she was the same way. Because there was a scene that Nicole Rio was kind of panicking about because she was supposed to be talking to her, and she was like, "What am I going to do?" And Pamela was just like, "I'll be here. Don't worry about it." So when she was not required to be on set, she was more than willing to help out any way she could, which I thought, there she is.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very nice.
She doesn't look any Japanese at all.
Well, I think she does later when her hair's put up. Maybe it's the chopstick she has in her hair.
Oh my god. She reminds me a little bit of Willow Pill.
I have no idea who that is.
Yeah. No, what I was going to say is actually I was quite surprised when I saw this was made in 1986. I actually thought it was a 90s movie. It had a good look to it. It's very clean. And so I kept wondering, why is everyone dressed in the 80s? And because it was made in the 80s. To me, it doesn't look like an 80s film. But did the director go into other stuff?
No, I don't think she ever directed another movie ever again. I could never see. There's another commentary where I was talking about this with Austin when we were talking about how difficult it would be to be a female with all the things that you have to do as far as primping and makeup and shaving and waxing and all that stuff. And then on top of everything else, you'd have to deal with people fucking stealing your clothes.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about menstruating.
Oh, well, that goes without saying.
Well, guys have their own issues. Not that. I just can't seem to think what they are.
Oh, yes. Yes, we have plenty, don't you worry. Especially us. And by us, I mean you and me specifically.
Oh, okay.
No, I meant gay men.
Yes. The homosexuals.
Now, those filthy homosexuals. And their man-on-man action. One thing that... Well, this is kind of old news, at least for me now, but what I didn't know until about 10 years ago was that when this was released on VHS in the UK, it's about 11 minutes longer.
Really? What did they add to it?
A lot of things that didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
Because the movie's only 74 minutes and it's very tight and it moves very fast.
Yeah.
And the extended version literally has a scene where they're waiting for it's when they go back to the house after class and everybody's gone and they say, they're going to go try on Cindy's clothes. It's right before that where they're waiting, I think, for Beth. And they're literally just standing there talking about nonsense.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's more dream sequences. And some of the scenes, there's more dialogue and they're longer. But it slows the movie down
I think
much.
this is a better movie for how short it is. I feel that if it were longer, there would be things that would drag and make it not as enjoyable. So,
it did. It did. It definitely was a hindrance to this movie.
Which is, I like that about Slumber Party Massacre as well, because that one wasn't a terribly long movie.
Well, no, that was 77. Well, the thing with...
The girls know how to keep it tight.
They know how to keep it tight. No. Roger Corman always likes his movies short and sweet. And for his Concorde and New Horizons company, you will find that a lot of movies are between an hour and 15 and an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So I think you'll almost never find anything over 90 or at 90.
Or of 80.
Well, the full uncut version of Slumber Party 3 is 87.
And that was his epic.
That was the epic, yes.
Oh, this movie... Wait, I actually forget here. This movie was called simply Sorority at one stage.
No, it was not.
Well, that's what it says in the IMDb.
No, it was not.
Oh, okay then. Then that's wrong.
No, it was not. It might be called Sorority in different
No,
territories.
the title was simply Sorority. Like,
no,
with
it's
those
not.
two words.
No, it was not. No, it was not. No, it was not.
Lies, Manelli lies.
You said that about something else that it had a different title, and I was just like, no, it didn't. Don't believe everything you read on IMDb.
Okay.
Roger Corman would never release a movie simply called Sorority because
No, it wasn't.
it's not.
simply-
It doesn't
wasn't
sound.
called Sorority.
What? Sorority House?
No, it was called simply Sorority.
Oh, simply Sorority. I thought you were saying simply.
No.
No, that's even worse.
Yeah, that's...
No.
No.
That sounds like a fucking stupid 80s.
Like a screwball
sex
comedy. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I was kind of glad in this classroom thing because when they were talking about dreams and hallucinations, I thought, God, I hope this isn't their psych class because I always remember when I started uni, we could go to the different lectures based on the different classes, and I went to a psychology lecture, and he said, "We will not be talking about dreams and X-File type of stuff."
Oh, I took psych. And
By force? I'm just joking.
Well, it was part of the
Curriculum.
what do you call it? Curriculum for fucking what the fuck was that? Communications. But I only took psych 1, and it was just about childhood development and stuff like that.
Okay. I remember a lot of stuff we started. Sorry, you go.
There's another thing about this one that makes it authentic is they actually have a house mother.
Oh, yes. She reminds me a bit of like Jenny Garth's mother in Beverly Hills. She
Everybody
carries
always
herself that
reminds
way.
you of someone.
I always get traumatized when she got drunk at the beauty pageant that she hosted.
I remember they had a slumber party episode of 90210 in like the first season.
Like a horror
remember
version
that?
or a
No,
Oh.
it was. I just remember they played a game of Truth or Dare. It's probably really cheesy now, but I remember being kind of edgy at the time because I was like probably 9.
yeah.
But I remember Jenny Garth revealing how she lost her virginity, and it was like in the woods, and the guy practically raped her. And I just remember her saying he didn't even bring a blanket, and she was
Hopefully he
crying.
brought a sheath. I don't remember that one. My sister's a big fan of Beverly Hills 90210.
Let's not talk about 90210. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, my Lord.
Oh, yeah.
He looks British. Just because he's got boring hair. Sorry to all of our British listeners.
Yeah, apologize to Tim.
Yes. He'll know what I'm talking about. Oh, she looks very tanned.
The one thing that always irked me about this was the doctor, the woman. And you could tell that she's clearly like 25, probably a model. And they put big glasses and frumpy clothes on her and said, okay, she's a doctor. No, she's not. But you could tell she's got a pretty face under those giant glasses.
Yeah.
That was always the big thing in these movies. It's like, okay, when we have to ugly a girl up, just put a pair of glasses on her. Like in Not Another Teen Movie.
Yes.
When she takes the glasses off and the ponytail. There. I'm a genius. Yeah, that scene was right before this. It was literally the three of them. They were just standing there. I think they were waiting for Beth.
Babbling on.
They were talking about like cheeseburgers or something. That extended version was so bad. I only watched it the one time.
Yeah.
And that says a lot because, like I said, this is one of my favorite movies ever.
This was redone in the Sex and the City movie.
I don't want to talk about that.
And apparently Angela did not want to get naked, so that's why she's not involved.
I don't think she would. I don't think she was probably. She's the final girl. The final girl doesn't get naked.
Oh no! Apparently that she refused to do it, and they changed the script to have
no.
her
I
just
don't
sitting
think.
there.
I. You keep going by the trivia on the IMDb. I don't think. Well, and plus there's that line that Linda says when she says, "Too old for dress up." She's bothered. She's got some shit on her mind. She doesn't feel like fucking trying on these hideous 80s ensembles and being a doo-wop girl. Well, Nicole Rio said that when she went to the New Beverly to see this in a theater, during the scene, the crowd lost their shit with laughter because of how hideous all the clothes were.
They do all look very prom and crappy bridesmaid dresses.
Oh no, Linda puts the chopsticks in her hair.
I just can't get this dream out of my head. I know a lot about dreams.
Yeah, see, she's got issues right now. And plus she doesn't know them. She's not gonna play dress up with them.
She's just gonna play voyeur.
Yeah. Well, she is dressed like a boy, so
I like the connection that this Walkman's playing the same music.
No, I don't. I always hated that part because it's so stupid. Because they couldn't afford to get a cheesy instrumental for something else. It had to be the exact same cheesy instrumental.
No, but I thought that's how they connected the two minds together.
I don't think that was intentional.
Oh, I do. I'm giving her credit.
Now you made me lose my train of thought. What did you say before? Oh, I was going to say, I think that Beth is intentionally trying not to look pretty because of the trauma that she's been through. You could tell she sticks out like a sore thumb with these girls. She doesn't really care about what she looks like. She has no sense of fashion. Again, she looks like a boy. So
she could be really pretty if she wanted to be.
Cindy's gonna kill me.
Is that a take on she can be really nice when she wants to be?
No, it's just one of those really disgusting pickup lines creeps say.
And what a bitch taking her hamburger. I mean, what was that?
Jesus. Oh, and that was a goof, but it was...
What?
Oh, yeah, one scene you could see barbed wire and the next scene you can't.
Yeah, he went over a barbed wire fence. I don't know how that was possible. And that was razor wire, too, I'm pretty sure.
No, it only had one string of barbed wire, and then when it was up, there was no barbed wire for him to jump over.
Oh.
The establishing shot had him, but not the other.
Well, I was thinking about this, and for some reason this never occurred to me before. But when Beth is under hypnosis and Linda is talking to her, and then she can't bring her out of it because she's calling her Beth, and her middle name is Beth, her first name is Laura. But she was talking to her the whole time, calling her Beth. She was saying, Beth, how old are you? Beth, where are you? And Beth is answering.
Yeah, yeah.
But why did she need to be called Laura to be
she was
brought out
diving
of
too deep
hypnosis?
into it.
Wait, Beth said they seemed alive. Living dolls. That's us, right? Hey, I would appreciate it if you stop trampling all over my...
I do see what you're saying.
My favorite moment in the whole movie is the chair jump at the very end when he pulls the curtain back and he just goes, Beth. And she screams. Oh, that gives me chills every time. But I love that because of the I'm not Laura anymore, you son of a bitch line.
Yes.
So he calls her Beth. Oh, I love it. This movie makes me so happy. And I admit I do get a little misty when Linda dies.
Oh. Was that when
So wow.
they think they killed him and then he just keeps going?
Yeah. Well, Linda does that, oh no. And then, because she knows she's about to die and then her head drops.
Mm.
There's a, you know what, I mean, okay, yes, I will say that there are a lot of slasher movie tropes and there is some similarities between Halloween, but there are some really smart moments in this.
Yeah.
And I really like the psychic connection.
Yeah, I think that definitely sets it apart. And it makes it
another one of my
special.
favorite moments is when she knows when to move when he's stabbing through the door.
Yeah, yeah.
So, who was your favorite of all the boys?
Of all the boys,
Yes, the boys.
probably the Indian
The
statue.
boys. First comes the blood and then comes the boys. Like sniffing dogs.
God. Thank you, Joan. Oh no, that's I got the wrong one.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Margaret.
Margaret.
Although
Yes,
both
it's
movies
the
had,
boys.
had
The boys.
both of those movies had, I forget her name now, but the nurse from Nightmare 3.
Mm-hmm. Pointer, Priscilla Pointer.
Yes. Was she in the Pointer Sisters?
She is.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, they're all got their cuteness, but for one.
I think the one who I like is the Jewish kind of looking one.
Yeah.
Who gets in the teepee.
Who gets with debt.
That's probably because he gets naked.
Oh, yeah.
Craig. But Andy with the blonde hair and the glasses, I hate those glasses. I don't think anybody looks good in those glasses. Those half plastic, half wire rim. Nobody looks good in those.
I don't mind them, but You need to have
I
the
think
right
they're
face for it.
hideous. Nope. I've never seen them on anybody and thought they looked good, ever.
Craig and I will go inside and hold it steady. Right.
And then you got John, who's about 47.
So is that their makeout teepee? I did watch
Nicole
this, by the
Rio
way.
said, yes. Nicole Rio said that was very, the teepee, all of the teepee sequences were very, very hard. It was very hard to put it together. It was very hard to film inside. It was very hard for them to kneel inside for the sex scene and later
It's hard for the
inside.
guys.
Everything was very
It's not
difficult,
really
yes.
wide enough. You really have to do cowboy in there. It's not a good size for fucking.
And it's not even, no, it's not sexy.
No. You might as well get a phone booth. That would have more space.
Yeah. Might smell a little like piss.
The teepee.
Yes, exactly. Isn't this whole powwow a little racially insensitive?
The what? Sorry.
That the powwow. That's what they're doing with the teepee.
Oh, I have no idea.
They're setting up the powwow. That's what they're doing.
I don't know the Inuit American.
Well, this is for Memorial Day.
Oh, okay.
So they're planning some kind of a. They really don't go into detail about it, but it's Memorial Day weekend, so they're planning something.
Yeah. What is Memorial Day for?
To it's in memoriam of people who've died during the war.
Oh, okay. So, what did the teepee have to do with it?
I don't know.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Are you saying this is a haunted house? Think about it.
What makes the house haunted?
He does look old. Like,
Yeah,
Can't do much worse than this guy did.
he looks like he could be the house father.
yeah. He looks like he could be Robert De Niro's father.
Yeah, and he's only 26.
Oh my God.
The same thing. The same thing. I remember when I first saw Fast Times at Ridgemont High, I was so confused by Damone. I did not understand.
But
You've never seen Fast Times at
I need to
Ridgemont
though.
High?
It was less of a.
Really?
I missed out on it.
His mom and dad.
Oh my God. Well, there's a character named Damone, and he looks like he's in his mid to late 40s.
Yeah.
But he was only 20 at the time.
Yeah.
And I couldn't wrap my head around him being a student. I just thought, like, isn't he a teacher? Why is he hanging out with the? This doesn't make sense.
And he went hunting.
No, don't. Yeah, John, that's enough. It's horrible.
Well, yeah, that's the point.
Go on, John.
I think
That's Amy Heckerling, don't you know?
Yes. I was going to say it's Clueless director. I was kind of reminded of that movie Silent Night, Deadly Night 3, where it was sort of a escaped person going to go kill someone. But I feel that this
Who
one
was connected to? Yeah, they were connected by this like.
But I feel that this
yeah.
one maintains the suspense a lot better. That the visions and what you see of the guy is better. It doesn't. This one kept my interest a lot better than Silent Night, Deadly Night 3.
Well, Silent Night is not a good movie. I was fucking scraping the bottom of the barrel for Christmas last year.
Nice try, John, but I've heard that about every house on the row. Come on.
Now watch when they turn on the TV. Do you know what they're watching? Do you know what that is?
Oh, what is it? Because I did try to figure it out.
Slumber Party Massacre.
Oh my God! Okay, I thought I'd say that.
Thanks, guys.
I like a lot of the some of the snarkiness of the girls. I think is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Um,
I just wanted to make sure you were all right.
the delivery I think is funny.
I couldn't see you.
Like for example, when they find the knife, and the guy Craig goes, "Why is it dirty?" and one of them goes, "That's blood," and Tracy just goes, "Or dirt."
Well, I think that it's good for
No, Beth says
good for
that's
it being
blood.
written by a female. Is that I think that
Yeah, the characters sound real.
when males write females, I think they can only understand it from how they see it as an outside perspective. So it might appear bitchy, but when women are saying it, they know how to do that fine line where it's not bitchy. It's the difference between reading someone and being cruel to someone.
Mm. Well, if you notice, the male characters don't have a whole hell of a lot of lines.
Well, that's because men are idiots.
That's true. Especially these.
Yes. Something I like that I noticed is when I was watching a few Married with Children's a while ago, and a lot of those shows were written and directed by women, so I thought that was good.
Yeah, Amanda Burst directed a lot of the Married with Children.
Okay.
Yeah, after the first couple seasons, she directed a lot of them.
Don't your doctors have beepers? Here? You gotta be kidding.
That guy,
Has he been in other stuff?
I don't know. You talking about the cop or the orderly?
The orderly.
I don't know, but the orderly has that look like he's been like a 3-pack a day smoker all his life.
I think the orderly reminds me of, Ernest. Like Ernest goes to jail.
Yes, I know Ernest. And Ernest was a 3-pack a day smoker.
Oh, really?
That's why he died of lung cancer.
Yeah.
What are you laughing about? You always laugh at the most inappropriate moments.
No, it was. I was thinking about how you said, "This is a sorority. Some of us have to sleep."
Yeah, Conti Tracy's about to say
Even
that
though
one.
they're all watching TV, it's not.
More of the same dream.
Beth, do you always have nightmares like this? Because one thing about being in a sorority is, other people have to sleep.
I don't get it.
Yeah, and other people have to be total fucking insensitive cunts. Tracy, I'm looking at you.
And she says it so unviciously, with a smile on her face.
And the thing is, she really didn't even have to say it because Beth is just staying for the weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll do it.
You're not going to be like this the whole weekend, are you?
It's like, are you going to be fucking screaming your head off and waking me
I
up
think you should
all
go to a
weekend because I
hotel,
can't deal with
really.
it? Yeah, seriously. I'll pay for it. God. Just get out. And take your fucking dolls with you.
Look, the TV outside, you should fit into it.
No, then how is she and Craig going to frig? They're going to frig in that TV.
They could use her bed. Why not use a bed?
Okay.
Don't they all have bedrooms?
They do, but Craig comes up with the idea to spend the night in it because I guess he thought he was being original or...
What a creepy thing to do.
I never understand why Americans say Craig when it's spelled. We say Craig.
Done that if I'd known it was you.
We do, and I remember I wrote a short story, or one of my R.L. Stine rip-off novellas when I was like 15, and I had a character named Craig in it, and I'd never known anybody named Craig, and I'd never seen the name written. So I remember I spelled it C-R-E-G.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Craig sounds kind of weird.
It's a very well.
Craig.
There's a. It's very bogan. Craig.
Well, you sound fine when you say it. I don't.
Yeah, it does.
Say
It
it
does
again.
sound strange when American, because I think they're so unused to saying it.
Say it again.
Craig.
What happened this time?
Craig.
Somebody else.
You sound like you're in pain.
Craig. I do. And my mouth, when my mouth is
Don't-
forming the word.
Don't use it as your safe word.
No. Okay. Let's not.
Only this time I felt like I knew him, so I wasn't afraid. And then he started killing someone.
Has Beth been in anything
All
else?
of a sudden,
I think so.
I knew I was next.
Nicole Rio was in another movie. I think she was in one before this and one after this. She and I think Pamela Ross were in The Visitants,
Okay.
which is not a good movie.
But something's already happened.
Oh, that's who her hair. Sure, her hair is like Jerry Seinfeld's.
When
Oh,
John was
God.
telling his story, I looked over the
Nicole told this funny story in her interview. It's on the Blu-ray. Because as I'm sure you know, she's a nude scene when they're playing dress up, but she also has a nude scene in the teepee. And when they had a screening for the movie, she brought her parents and some friends and some cousins, and she said they took up like 2 rows in the theater. And she neglected to tell one of her cousins, who I guess she was very close friends with, and she said like the whole crew and the director were all there and the other actors, and everybody knew that she was a little uncomfortable, so they were trying to be very respectful and not say anything or laugh or be stupid.
Yeah.
So anyway, they're in a teepee, and the tits come out, and then her cousin just goes, "Oh my God, Nicole!" And everybody in the theater just started cracking up.
blood or dirt. Right.
Oh, yuck.
Beth, do you know what this means?
She said her father was very supportive. She said after he really liked the movie, and he was not
Yeah.
angry that she did the nudity. She said his response was, "You have to do what you have to do,"
Yeah.
and that was it.
Well, I think not that you go into acting expecting to get nude, but I think
No way, Sarah.
actors have got a bit of an artistic element to them, where they're a bit more free with being nude. It's not conservatives watching conservatives.
Yeah. No, conservatives wouldn't be watching a movie like Sorority Massacre. Well, and especially in the 80s with Reagan and shit, there was a stigma attached to women who did nudity in films.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that doesn't exist anymore.
I feel like it's going to come back, but from a different angle. I feel like the ban against nudity was a conservative thing, but I think it's going to become a liberal thing.
Only one little girl survived.
I don't think so. Because it's just, nudity in movies really isn't even commonplace anymore, because it's just so easy to find porn on the internet.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time these movies were made for adolescents or teenage boys who couldn't get porn, so it's like, here's some titties, come see the movie. Or rent it.
There's nothing ooh about it, Tracy.
Unless those teenage boys were you or me, and all we needed was a Sears catalog.
Well, this one's good for the butt.
You don't really get a good shot of it, though.
No, well, I didn't mind the shot.
Pick a spot.
He's moving around and he's
Yeah,
kind of
that's
bent
fine.
over. I wanted him to just stand up and spread the cheeks. No, I'm kidding. My chair won't shut the fuck up.
It's all right.
I really, really have to go.
I wish you could stay.
Me too. But hey,
Really? Him?
people need their cookies.
I know.
Call me first thing tomorrow.
Nothing. Nothing at all. No appeal.
No.
I'm telling you, it's the glasses.
What's the plan here, buddy? Gotta get free.
I don't think it's the glasses. I think the glasses actually give him a bit more interest than what he is.
I wonder if he's cute under the glasses. But the bleach job, I don't approve of. See, I'm not even looking at the screen, and I've seen this movie so many fucking millions of times that I know exactly what's happening, exactly what everybody looks like.
That Beth's dressed like a lesbian.
You're
It's the flannel. That's
terrible, Muriel.
Go further back. Back to the place the dream comes.
Those plaid pants that she wears, Jesus Christ.
oh, I know.
That should be a fashion felony.
And she was wearing it with contrasting patterns as well.
Yes, you're not supposed to mix patterns.
Or do it harder if you do.
Is Bobby hurting you?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yes, just shove it in there.
Why? I don't know.
Don't tease with the tip.
How old are you?
Mm-hmm.
Beth. I'm 5. But I'm...
Laura.
Yeah, here she says I'm 5, but I'm
When you wake up, you'll be safe
Laura.
here with us. Wake up on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
No, Linda doesn't call her Laura.
No, but Beth says it. She says when Linda asks how old are you, she says I'm 5, but I'm
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Beth, you're awake.
I think it was trying to suggest that she had changed her, like her name was Laura.
Oh God. What is it? Am I crazy?
But she never would have went under
What happened?
if
But it could be a couple
Linda had called her Laura the whole time.
I think you're obsessed with that stupid ghost story. Or maybe there was some trauma back when you were little that's coming up now. But why now? Why did it start when I came here? What happened when you were 5 years old?
I remember a lot of shit from when I was 5.
Yeah.
Well, what do you remember from when you were 5?
I'd remember at least the front of my house when I was 3.
I remember a lot of stuff from kindergarten.
You know what I think? I think you just had a past
Yeah.
life experience.
I remember
Something that happened before you
um,
were you.
when I was in kindergarten,
Sorry.
La Isla Bonita was a very big song.
Oh my god, really?
Whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. That's how far back my Madge fandom goes, baby.
Yes. I used to hear that song because my sister had the Immaculate Collection on tape.
Guess the Bachelorette's Club reconvenes
Mm-hmm.
in I am pretty bummed. Coming
What are you saying? You didn't like it? You had a problem with it?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I used to like the song Cherish as a child.
That song is very gay.
Yeah, well, that's probably what caused it all. Yeah, they did very well with the symbolic, like adding a bit of mysticism with the children interplaying.
Mm-hmm. and the picture bleeding. I like that part. And the picture in the picture, the blood comes out where they were all stabbed. And you see Beth, her arm is bleeding.
Oh, okay.
It's very smart. It's very smart.
Yeah, it's thoughtful.
Little things like that Halloween did not have.
Yeah.
Halloween was like, all right, let me just rip this tombstone out of the ground, put it in the back of a fucking station wagon, which would have been up on 2 wheels, drive it all the way to Haddonfield, and now I'm going to take it out of the back of the station wagon, drag it across the sidewalk, bring it up the porch stairs and ruin them, and then the inside stairs and ruin them, and then I'm going to put it in bed with Linda for no reason.
Maybe he did paper mache in the hospital. Perfected his skills.
Okay, shut your face.
I just started. I had a friend who used to do. He had a hobby of making paper mache litter boxes for his house, and
mailboxes. They would.
Yeah, and create designs around the mailbox.
You mean like inside?
No, they'd leave it outside and let them get destroyed, and then
all it would have to do is rain.
Yeah,
and they're done.
Yeah.
Because of the opening scene in A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 when Kristen is making the house, I tried to replicate that so many times.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
The only paper mache we used to ever do at school was...
See, he called her Susan. I like that.
Yes.
Paper mache what?
Would always just paper mache balloons and then create heads out of them.
That's really macabre.
Jetta, not so naked. It is too bad you didn't get to see it with a full frontal on that clip.
I'm surprised we got that.
Mm.
Because generally in these movies, it's all about them titties.
Those ass titties.
It was so funny. It was so funny. I showed, or recommended this to a friend a couple years ago, and he said, I don't know, because nudity in movies, especially horror movies, really isn't that prominent anymore. He was, I don't know, kind of scandalized by this scene where they were all playing dress up. He was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe all the nudity. I forgot there was so much nudity in slasher movies in the 80s. And this is a straight guy, by the way.
Yeah. Shocked by tits.
He was shocked. He couldn't believe it.
His monocle fell out.
It did.
Oh, silly buggers. They put the knife back.
That's the first time I've ever heard. No, I've heard you say buggers before.
I'm going on.
Yeah, I remember in the extended version there were a lot of these, or there were more of these kinds of dream sequences where everything was silent and slow.
Yeah.
And completely unnecessary.
And really slowed down the movie.
Yes. I was watching a fucking review of this on YouTube, and of course the guy trashed it, and he was like, oh my God, it was so long and it was so boring. And I was like, okay, shut the fuck up, because really? You don't know what you're talking about. And
this one or the extended one?
Maybe he watched the extended one, I don't know, but the extended one is only available on VHS.
Oh, okay.
In the UK. No, we never even got it over here.
Yeah. It's weird, because I watch a few music clips reviews that people do. And like when they do, say, for instance, Madonna, and they're going back through her catalogue, they haven't appreciated the growth. So,
Okay.
like, watching people who have only ever seen horror from the aughts and the teens trying to appreciate horror from the 80s can be hard.
Yeah, it's like that fucking idiotic girl from the beginning of Scream. I only watch movies like The Babadook and fucking
It Follows.
Midsummer and The Witch. So in other words, you're pretentious. Okay.
Well, some people just don't like horror.
The Babadook. I'm just going to walk around smacking people every time I hear them say it like that.
I thought that was like one of those Craig things that I reckon I hear a lot of Americans say. Babadook. I don't know if I can say it.
Not me.
Babadook.
You never heard me say it. And plus, it's fucking...
Said in the
they
movie.
say, like I said in my review, they say it 7,000 times in the movie. Plus, they do the ba-ba-ba-duk, duk, duk rhyme. And there is the rhyme, if it's in a word or if it's in a look, you can't get rid of the ba-ba-duk.
I feel like the gays
They don't say if it's in a word or it's in a look, you can't get rid of the ba-ba-duk.
You're Baba Shook.
My mom sent it after that rape on campus last year. That's great, but we've still got to get help.
Can't do that without leaving this room.
Maybe he'll go away.
I like that he's the helpless one that the girls have to think. He's
Well, there's really nothing that he can do.
He's taken the role of the dumb blonde bimbo. Like,
Best way out. Stick together and run like hell.
There's nothing that he can do, really. No, but I used to make fun of this when I was younger, and it's kind of terrible. But her character, whatever the fuck her name, why I can't remember her name. I still can't remember her name. Pamela Ross's character, like her mother sent her to college petrified that something was going to happen to her. She gave her a rape whistle. She gave her a fire ladder, and yet she still gets fucking stabbed to death by a maniac.
that's like Wes's Craven. Wes's character.
Oh.
He's gone. We can go at the front.
See, I was expecting him to climb up the ladder while they're doing this.
There's one moment that makes zero fucking sense, and that's when he comes crashing through the window after the ladder has been pulled.
Up. Yeah.
No, they throw it out the window.
Oh,
when
yeah.
he climbs up, and then they pull it, they pry it off. It falls, and he falls with it. And then out of nowhere, he just comes flying through the window like Superman.
Yes.
But if you notice, if you look closely, the window is maneuvered, I guess is the right word, in a specific way so that it doesn't close all the way because they shut it on his fingers.
Yeah.
So there's like a half inch, maybe an inch. When they close it, it doesn't close all the way.
Okay,
it doesn't go all the way down. So watch closely for that.
Watch closely as we pick up on this blooper in the movie.
I like it that she starts spraying his hands with mace. Like that's going to do anything.
Was it mace or just... Oh, yes, it is mace.
Look at the window.
Oh, yeah.
He's dead, right? I think he's dead. I don't think so. Well, dead or not, the important thing is that he's down there. Now we have to get the hell out of here.
And I like that too. He wasn't just this killing machine that didn't have any remnants of humanity.
Oh, yeah.
That he actually screamed when they closed the window on his fingers.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, Andy. He's dead.
Michael Myers has been killed 7,000 fucking times.
Yeah, I'm not
And has
I'm
never
not a
made a
fan of when it
sound.
goes from, because I found the first Halloween reality based, and then it becomes, you know, quite supernatural when someone keeps getting killed but surviving. She's lost her marbles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Maybe he flung the ladder to the gutter, climbed it, and then swung through.
Maybe. It's possible. But not really.
Have you ever thought about where you could hide in your house if someone broke in?
Well, ooh, I hit the microphone.
I thought maybe that was an invasion.
I used to when I was in the middle room because we had a powder room downstairs that kind of extends outside the house. So right below my window is the roof of the powder room. So I would just go out the window onto the roof of the powder room, then go into the backyard, climb the fence over the backyard into the alley, and then climb the fence to get out of the alley.
Yeah.
I got my shit together, baby.
Yeah. Don't tell anyone in the family. Just like run off and go, you can fend for yourself.
Mm-hmm. I always thought that was particularly brutal, that stabbing. It was right in the heart.
I just thought, how long can you scream after being stabbed? Like, would you stop screaming after the first stab?
I don't think you would die like that. I mean, this is going to sound weird, but, you know, I've seen a million slasher movies. I've seen a million of these movies where women are constantly in peril and getting hurt and stabbed and all these kinds of things by the men. But in this one, when the brother is going after Beth and Linda's trying to stop him with the different gardening
the shovel,
utensils, and he keeps hitting her. I just feel, I always feel, in my head I'm like, that's a woman. What are you doing? Because it doesn't seem like a slasher movie in that minute. It just seems like it's a domestic violence thing. The way he's hitting her.
Yeah. So I thought, is she not connecting with him? Or like she was swinging that shovel and hitting everything else but him?
No, she was just, she was a bad shot. She was like knocking everything off the mantle and everything. She
like, I feel she should have speared it as opposed to swung it. Like when you dig.
I think you'd have to have a lot of strength in order to impale somebody with a shovel.
Impale, but like to. Next time we're under attack, you do your way, I'll do mine.
All right.
The LAPD say no sign of Robert Hinkle or anyone else there. Any other ideas
Yeah, you couldn't possibly be stiffer. The
Looking
police
at
haven't
him.
found any sign of Robert Hinkle or anyone else there. He studied with Strasbourg, you know.
Stanislavski.
Mm-hmm.
God, imagine getting killed while wearing a kimono.
No. Well, that was the thing. I remember in the mid to late 80s, people tried to adopt Asian culture. My mother had these little porcelain Asian dolls, and my aunt had like a bedspread with a big symbol in the center of it. It was definitely a thing.
Yeah, yeah. But I think it was it was being sold, and it was it was being sold by the Japanese community as a good thing.
Probably.
Whereas now, if you were to wear it, you'd get told off.
You would be culturally insensitive.
Yes.
Culture,
It's sort of
culture
appropriating,
appropriation. Yes.
It's that thing where, because I was watching this is a while ago, I was watching a horror movie. I think it was one of the Jasons, but one of the guys in it had an afro, and he was a white man.
Yeah, you talked about this.
Oh, and I was
with
just sort of saying that
Austin.
back in those days, he would have been a progressive. Whereas if you were to have a white man with an afro today, it'd be seen as appropriating someone else's culture. And I feel that oftentimes
not
progressive
necessarily.
people get overtaken by progress.
There's the Jew-fro.
Oh, okay, yeah, yep. But
So that's not on purpose. That's just their hair.
it's like
I bet
warriors.
if James grew out his hair, he could have a Jew-fro because he's got very tight curly hair.
Okay.
No, I think he would probably look more like Jack Osborne when he was in his teen years.
Oh, all right. Yep. I can't really grow my hair because it just grows to the sides. I probably end up looking like Art Garfunkel.
I would look more like Paul Simon.
Oh, okay. Something that that I always think about in horror movies is, I know it's hard to, get to a point where you kill someone in self-defense, but I could imagine, say, breaking someone's arm to make sure that they can't, or breaking something that's survivable.
Yeah. Well, I that's something that I've always said, because I'm going to alienate people. But let's just, I don't want to lose listeners, but let's just say I don't like guns. So, and I'm not going to say I'm against owning a gun, or I don't believe people should own a gun. Okay, let's just say me.
You don't like the object of guns.
I don't like having a gun in the house to protect your property, because generally, if somebody breaks into your house in America and you have a gun, the owner shoots to kill.
Yeah.
And if you have somebody in your house who is breaking in, there's a good chance that they could be a crackhead, or they could be trying to get stuff to feed their family. So I would not want that on my conscience. That, oh shit, hit the microphone again. That I took away somebody's father, somebody's brother, somebody's cousin, somebody's uncle. I would rather have a baseball bat.
Okay, was that... Sorry, I thought you were going to go with something else. Okay.
What did you think I was going to say?
No, nothing. I thought that you were going to say that if you had a gun, you'd shoot the leg or something.
Well, no, I wouldn't have a gun at all. But if I did, that's what I would do. But that's not what people do. They shoot to kill.
Yeah,
They don't shoot,
you
they
get
don't
told
shoot to wound.
shoot for the biggest part of the body.
Yes.
But yeah, unfortunately, because I think that's what the police are also taught. They don't get taught to shoot to bring someone down. They get taught.
Well,
to shoot
nowadays,
to kill.
yeah, that's what they do. We're treading on thin ice here. Let's change this up.
Yes.
It's going to turn into another Ron Jeremy.
It's gonna turn into the Texas Chainsaw Party bus.
You could tell that "Help Me" over here. This girl is still alive was dubbed in.
How do they look?
Pretty good, Beth. In a couple of months, you'll hardly be able to see them.
I wish my
They're gonna cut them off.
Still having those dreams.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be sure to tell Dr. Lyons about that this afternoon. I will.
Hmm.
And try to get some rest.
Here it comes.
That's crappy curtains.
She's got a great scream.
Yes.
Yay!
Woot, woot, woot. Nicole Rio, was that Tracy?
Yes.
Is that the one that you were saying you couldn't remember the name of?
No.
So Beth,
that was
Linda,
Pamela Ross's
Sarah.
cars.
Oh, Sarah.
Sarah. That was her.
Oh, okay.
And so, did we enjoy that?
I enjoyed that again. Yes. I'm sorry. I finished my long day and I should have written down the names of the characters. I usually do, but I only printed off the trivia. That
Which
was
was all
all wrong,
bullshit.
apparently. Yes.
Simply sorority. Get the fuck out of here.
It's like Suddenly Susan.
Exactly.
It's making fun of people with a lisp.
Mm-hmm.
I want 2 tickets to see Simply Sorority.
Hi, Susan. Hi, Jason. Hi, Sarah.
Yes. I'm Susie Sadface.
Mrs. Lazyface.
That's right.
Poor thing. She never saw a single movie with Sissy Spacek.
Or Susan Sarandon.
Or Susan Sarandon. Oh, God.
Now, if we can, we surely will have to do the sequel.
Oh, we will. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Whatever happened with Concord Pictures? They just ceased existing? Went with Orion?
No. Orion's still around.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah. Or Orion either went away and came back, but I know Orion
actually,
is
you
still
might
around.
be correct. Is that, I think there was a recent, like a remake that they came back for or something. With a G at the end. I'll look it up. But not now. Or maybe now.
No, I don't know about what happened with Concord. I know they were around at least until the mid-aughts because they Well, they all right, this is what happened. They didn't have a video label, so other distributors would release the movies out on VHS. Like this was released by Warner Brothers on VHS, and Sorority Slumber Party was released by Embassy. And then at about 1990, Roger Corman began the New Horizons home video label, which distributed the newer movies, and then it became Concord New Horizons.
Yep.
And then throughout that, what carried on, Concord New Horizons home video carried on throughout the 90s, and then they went under at around 2000-ish. Also, then it became New Concord, because they started putting some of the movies, not a whole lot, unfortunately, but the New Horizons, because they did a lot of they did the body chemistry movies and Midnight Teas. I Like to Play Games. They did a lot of erotic thrillers. They started putting those out on the New Concord DVD label, and then at about 05 or 06, those started to go out of print. And now I think Scream Factory owns the Concord titles.
I think Orion. Sorry, I've been reading about Orion as you're talking.
Yeah, you didn't hear what I just said because
they did the remake of Child's Play too. Of Child's Play, sorry. But yeah, you were saying about how the Concord changed names to New Horizon and yada.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. No, I didn't say that at all. I said Roger Corman created New Horizons home video to distribute Concord films.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Just like Charles Band, he had smaller boutique companies like Empire and New Classics, and then he developed Full Moon in like 1988, 89, and I think the first couple of Full Moon, or the first Puppet Masters, were released by Paramount on video, and then he put together Full Moon Video.
Yeah.
And then just started distributing himself. It's a true story.
Did he do Two Moon Junction?
He did, yes. He also did Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar.
Oh, nice. Now, I must say, I did enjoy
Love
that.
Story, what?
So to get to wrap up our conversation, I'll let you know what I've been watching because we didn't get to it at the beginning. I've been watching mainly miniseries. I watched Joe versus Carol, which I didn't mind, but
you could have saved these for the next episode.
Oh, that's all right. I've written them down, and I don't want to. And I've been getting into a show called Killing Eve, so I'll give that a go if you don't mind it. And that's all for me.
Oh, okay. That's so great. That's so great. Okay. So are you curious about Sorority House Massacre 2?
I am, and because you said it's not directly related, but you said it's quite good as well.
To me,
yes. Oh, well, I'll trust your opinion on that.
Well, it's
I don't trust your reviews on movies you hate, whereas I'll trust your reviews on movies you like.
Oh, well, I think Sorority House Massacre 2, in order to have the same affinity for it that I do, you would have to have seen it at the same age I did, which was 11. So I think if you saw Sorority House Massacre 2, at what are you, 42? You probably would
38.
You probably wouldn't appreciate it as much.
Yeah,
So I was talking about this with Jed because he just saw he just saw Labyrinth for the first time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there are some, because we talked about it as well in saying how I didn't really like Hocus Pocus.
No, I didn't like
that.
Hocus
It was
Pocus when
fine,
it first
but
came out.
like it gets a lot of people love it.
No, I don't like it. It's like a gay cult film
Trope.
too.
Yeah.
Well, that's because the gays love them some Bette Midler.
Well, and a bit of Sarah
Well,
Jessica.
I like Bette Midler too. Well, yeah, that's true. Well, I don't think they liked her then. I think,
Yeah.
I think
No,
because
but-
of Sex in the City. What?
No, but the gays that like it now were young when they watched it. It's not like as if it was flocked to by the gay community then.
All right. Okay.
It's, the young closeted kids that watched it and enjoyed it and now all gay.
They realized just how gay they were when they saw
Yes.
Sarah Jessica Parker trying to be sexy. What?
Yes, they're
And yeah.
their sphincter unclenched.
And Bette Midler's weird buck teeth that were a little too round for my taste.
Yeah. They were actually, now that you say it, but this is a fantasy. It's
Stupid fantasy.
See, I much preferred Wednesday from she was my go-to from the Addams Family.
She was your spirit animal, yes?
Yes. Especially when she pretends to like the Disney films and she gives them that weird smile.
What?
So do you have any final thoughts?
No, I was just going to say one of my
Oh, sorry. I thought you were...
one of my favorite moments that I always thought Addams Family Values, although I liked the first one, I always thought Addams Family Values was so much funnier.
Well, they say, it's one of the few where the sequel is better. And
the sequel is better.
And the original is quite good in itself, but the sequel is better.
Yes, it is. I like it. But the one scene that always used to crack me up was when that fucking bitchy girl at the camp pretends that she's drowning. and Wednesday, I can't swim. And then you just see that giant bubble. Oh, good times.
I like, there's a song by a drag queen called Jinx Monsoon who does a song called What About Betty? And she includes Debbie's monologue at the end of the movie. So it's What About Debbie?
Oh, no. My ex was so obsessed with that fucking monologue, and he used to recite it all the time for no reason.
What about
And he
Debbie?
made me... No, his favorite part was, don't I deserve love and jewelry?
I'm sorry that he ruined it for you, actually.
He did. He ruined it.
It's one of those things, yes.
Don't I yearn and ache and shop?
And now it's attached to your ex. Oh.
Yeah, well, he's probably quoting it to somebody else and making their life miserable as we speak.
I can imagine him quoting it like Helen Sharp does Madeline Ashton in a psych ward.
Yeah, so we also talked about that with Jed. Poor Jed, who had no idea what the hell we were talking about.
Yeah, sometimes I forget that there are people who haven't seen popular films. Or like, not popular, but like...
What is she... What is...
Because I live in an echo chamber of film.
What is Goldie Hawn call her? She calls her something first, and I think what does she call her, homewrecker? And then she goes, and she was a bad actress. And then it cut to Madeline clawing the paint off the wall. Mad? That was your cue.
Hill. She was a
Hell.
homewrecker. She was a man-eater. And she was a bad actress.
You're supposed to say hell. You fucked up my whole thing. I'm never speaking to you
Stop
again.
it. I was looking up the line that you were trying to get right.
That's one of the few times Bruce Willis attempted comedy, and I thought he did quite well. I thought he was funny.
I think because he was forgettable. The comedy was fine.
Yeah, because it wasn't his movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was just a sideline character, yeah. Although in saying that, I actually never minded that movie everyone hated, Hudson Hawk.
Hudson Hawk.
Yeah.
That was Bruce Willis?
Yeah. Where he played
Wasn't that Mel Gibson?
No. He played not a con man, but a heist man, you know. He steals stuff.
Is Bruce Willis and Goldie Hawn?
No, it's Bruce Willis and Andy McDowell. You're thinking of Bird on a Wire.
Oh, yes.
That was a movie that used to play once a year here, like through the 90s. It was like you knew that the year was coming to an end when Bird on a Wire would play.
Why is that?
I don't know. That was just Channel 10 owned it, so they just played it every year.
Couldn't they have bought a better movie?
They had other movies that would play, but I just always remember when Bird on a Wire would be on.
Okay.
And Terminator 2 would often be once a year, you know.
Yeah, and now you can't even see it anymore without fucking...
You can't see
without
Jason Patrick's wing.
Jason Patrick's mushroom cap.
Ball sack and...
That's a bunch of bullshit.
Alrighty, well, I must be off. Do you have any final thoughts?
Yes, I would like to say that I'm very I'm very happy to accept this honor, and I will try very hard to fulfill my needs as your next Miss America.
Nice.
Okay, so I want to thank Tony for joining me. That's from Buffy, by the way. I would like to thank Tony for joining me for Sorority House Massacre, one of my top 10 slasher movies of all time. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And I hope
I'll wipe myself on the curtains as I leave.
Oh, yes. Okay. All right. Well, until next time, this is Brandon Ford wishing you all unpleasant dreams.